months to produce a facility that is absolutely world class and has already, in its first season of operation, been voted as the best venue for Formula One. The design of the buildings said to represent a Bedouin encampment, with the large tower at turn 1 representing the pineapple, the symbol of welcome. It's been a busy week from Tuesday onwards for the BMW World Finals, with plenty of heats, 6 heats in which each drivers took part in at least 3 of them, or in 3 of them. This is some highlights from the first heat. Nicholas Hulkenberg led into the first corner, then a spin there by the number 8 car of Egerwald, the German. Up the inside there goes Piscopo, inside Nathan Antunes. Urbano was in there as well, and more action down the field. It's the short circuit here, 3.5 kilometres, what's called a paddock circuit. Oh dear, you see, didn't really want to do that, did he? Alongside myself, John Hindhoff, as Descovit gets himself sorted out and causes the red flag, is Kelvin Burt. Kelvin, this single-seater, single-make formula has really made its mark in the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's right, John. There's a lot of support behind this formula from BMW, obviously, but this is becoming, and has become, the junior formula, if you like, replacing what was traditionally the junior formula, Formula Ford, and this is where they all want to be, with all of the support and promotion provided by BMW.
This is heat 2. Marco Holzer started from pole, led from start to finish. Did come under a bit of pressure from Sam Bird at the end of lap 1, but Buemi took over second. Front of the field, the positions pretty much stayed the same, but the driver who had the most to do was Robert Wickens. He had his qualifying time disallowed early on, and some action down the field as Stefano Coletti was collected there by number 26, Hamad Al Fariman, and well, that was all a bit unnecessary.
They went in quite hard, those two.
In fact, it was 25, my apologies. At the end, it was Holzer that led from Buemi at Bird, but Wickens did get the fastest lap. On to heat number 3, second man on the grid, Marco Holzer again, who got the best start for the race and took the lead that he held for all 15 of the laps. As ever, tight and twisty down the bottom. Nathan Antunes again involved with Jonathan Summerton. Further down the field, that was Joao Urbano, been racing in Germany this year, although he was in the British Championship, of course, and problems there for 29, the improbably named Race Johnson. The driver's not getting to grips, if you like. Matt Harris there from the UK. There is quite a lot of sand around the circuit, as you'd imagine.
That's Bird on his teammate Sawley, I believe. Yeah,
absolutely right. Some of these car colours slightly different from what we've been used to see. There is Marco Holzer, led from start to finish in heat 3, and he finished ahead of Hulkenberger in second place, Urbano in second, and Sam Bird did get the fastest lap in heat number 3. Just a word about the circuit. It is the shorter circuit, as we said, 3.5 kilometres around, and including over 1,000 metres of the start-finish straight. Eduardo Piscopo got the best start from heat 4, another 15 lapper. It was the man who was behind him on the front row who led at the end of the first lap. Sebastian Buemi took the lead and stayed there. Piscopo did everything in his power to try and get by. Lots of drafting, as you might expect. There's Jetskovit again, right in the heat of it all, turning into the paddock part of the circuit. Down the inside there is Piscopo, and he managed to hold on to second place. Buemi, Piscopo, Matt Howson in third place amidst the carnage of race number 3. That's Fabio Onedi going down the inside, and I suspect Kelvin will see quite a lot of that today.
With this long straight, they're going to get a hell of a slipstream, and it might even be, reminds me of Monza, it might even be quick enough or long enough this straight for them to slipstream past, and then for the car that's been passed to have another go back.
Another fastest lap for Wickens, for Sam Bird in heat number 3. There's your winner. Heat number 4. Heat number 5 rather, Hulkenberg had to follow his rival Sebastian Buemi across the line at the end of lap 1, but look at how tight it was on the start. Hulkenberg had a relatively lonely race after the 3rd lap when he pulled away from Ross Kernow. All the battling going on behind Nathan Antunes there, just getting involved again. Further up the field, Jonathan Somerton, who's been racing in America this year. And it was Hulkenberg who led from start to finish. The battle behind him allowed Robert Wickens to get up to by lap number 6 rather. He's at the 5th, and eventually on the penultimate lap he passed 2 cars ahead of him in a storming race to get up to 3rd position. Heat 5 then, won by Hulkenberg, Kernow in 2nd, Wickens in 3rd, and Hulkenberg with the fastest lap. Harold Schlegelmilch having a bit of a problem there.
Spectacular one that was.
Yes,
this first corner producing a lot of incidents, especially on the exit, and also a lot of spins. I think that was Philip Glue, the young Brit. Yep.
And it just goes to show how difficult it's going to be. I suppose the thing about this, Kelvin, is that the track is so wide that it's actually very difficult to find your braking points.
Yeah, not only that, your reference points are a long way away, but it's quite difficult to defend as well, because the only way to defend on a circuit that big is to weave absolutely outrageously, which of course they can't do.
Here we are then in the 6th heat, and another clean getaway. Piscopo on pole, but Holzer again who got the best start, and Holzer leads Hulkenberg. Burmy, the Swiss driver, right there as well.
Some robust defending going on here.
I think we're in for a real festival of motorsport coming up in the next hour or so. Matt Lee from the USA getting it all wrong there. Plenty of side-by-side action, as you can see there. Matt Howson really monstering into the right-hander on the infield. And that's Dominic Mazim.
Back with Howson and Stian Sawley here, two runners from the British series.
And it was a good race for the British series competitor, although Holzer was fairly untroubled and won it. It was Bird in 2nd, Howson in 3rd, and another fastest lap for Holzer. So the heats completed. We then moved on to the pre-final. Basically, the further up the grid, if you were first in any of your heats, you got 0 points. And Holzer there was perfect. 3 races, 3 victories. Sam Bird there. So here is the pre-final. Holzer from Hulkenberg down into the first corner. And Abano, Burmy, Bird, Piscopo, Abraham, Howson, Wazim and Jonathan Summit in the top 10. And that is very tight indeed, with Abano and Burmy on the straight. And Burmy continuing, Sebastian Burmy, continuing to get up through the field. Puncture, yeah, that's Robert Wickens, the Canadian driver. Left rear puncture. Limited amount of tyres available this weekend. 3 wide. Stevens, Onidi and Anzed Jovic, who's been among, we've said his name many times already and not got it right once. Which is Harold Schlegelmilch there.
Here's a good shot of slipstreaming here on the front. So he's actually touching him. He's damaged his wing. He's broken his front wing, so a bit too close that was. More stout defending here. Pushing right into the pit exit.
And you can see there, again, that first corner is going to be one of the overtaking manoeuvres. And it's a long run from the start line, Kelvin. So, you know, that again, first lap, as we see side-by-side action on the straight. I mean, it's probably the widest straight in motor racing, and yet they still want the same piece of track.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's a normal thing, isn't it? The drivers are all battling for the same piece. Number 7 there, Stefano Coletti, was not happy with being pushed onto the grass, but here we are, across the finish line.
And it was indeed Holzer who wins it again. Hulkenberg and Holzer there together. So it was Holzer, Hulkenberg, Abano, Sebastian Buemi, Sam Bird, Eduardo Piscopo, and then Arman Ibrahim, Howson, Wazim, Summit in the top 10. Pick out some more of the British drivers. 12th Jordan Wise, Stefano Coletti in 14th, James Davison in 16th, Phil Glue down in 19th, Matt Harris 20th, Dean Smith 21st. And that will, of course, be the grid, effectively, for our final. Now, I've been to this circuit a couple of times last year. The facilities are superb. The track surface is billiard table smooth, and I've got a feeling it's going to provide us with some real, as you saw from the heats, fast and furious action. It's a 25-lap race, or 45 minutes, whichever comes quickest. We may well have some safety car periods. And Kelvin Burt alongside me, that is a long run in what has been a busy week for these young drivers.
Yeah, quite, and it's a much longer race than these young lads are normally used to. The average in Britain is 20-25 minutes, something like that, so it's double, more than double their normal length, so they've got to keep the concentration, and looking at the heats, they've got to try and keep the car in one piece as well.
That's the man who starts on pole position outside of the front row for Marco Holzer. He's already won the pre-final $2,000 prize. He won the Super Pole of $1,000. I think he's also won the fastest lap of $2,000. So he's $5,000 to the good. If he can clean up, he'll get another 10 grand for winning the final. It's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 down to 10th.
Nice one.
$60,000 BMW have put up for this weekend. So no surprise then that we have got 35 drivers. There's Nicholas Hulkenberg, second place on the grid, rather unhelpfully for us commentators, having very similar livery.
Yeah, the blue and white. A lot of the cars run this blue and white, which is obviously the BMW corporate colours, but it would make our job easier if a few people would buy some paint.
We've seen this series over a couple of seasons, Kelvin, in the United Kingdom. America came online this year, Asia and Germany now with their own series as well, and plans for more. And really, it is now becoming the first choice for people coming out of karting, and I was a little sceptical about that in the first series. I thought that young drivers, as we look down there at number 11, Joao Barno, who's been driving in the German series this year, was in Britain the year before. I thought that young drivers might not be able to handle these quick cars because they are undoubtedly quick, but we've seen some magnificent racing, particularly in the UK over the last 2 seasons.
That's right, John. I've been involved the last couple of years with one of the teams in Britain that runs the cars, Fortec Motorsport. Indeed, they've got 2 drivers here in this race. The cars are very stable, although the engines are powerful, and I think they're about 145 horsepower thereabouts. They're quick cars for 16-year-old lads straight out of karts, but the chassis is very, very stable, and some of the stuff you see them get away with and live to tell the tale is astonishing, but it just shows what a good design the car is, the base chassis design.
The chassis is built to Formula 3 style crash tests with a Hewland Formula 3 sequential box mated to a 1200cc BMW formerly a motorcycle engine tuned especially for Formula BMW. And the chassis, as we're looking at the second place driver from the German Championship this year, Sebastian Buemi, the chassis has not compromised at all, as you'd expect from BMW, on safety, including a driver rescue seat, which we've seen pushed into action in a couple of 3 times in the British Championship. A couple of cars gone flying, a couple rolled over. But delighted to say that the safety has never been compromised, never had so much as even a moderately serious injury, and that is testament to the original design of these cars. They aren't cheap, as there's Sam Bird down in 5th position inside of row 3. They're not cheap to buy, these cars, as a first Formula, and some of the parts are quite expensive. A lot of carbon fibre on the car, a lot of the corners are quite expensive, and that's why I think quite a lot of young drivers are looking at it as maybe a 2-year foray, and a lot of teams running 2, 3 and 4 cars in the UK at least, Kelvin.
That's right, they do, yeah. 4 for the bigger teams, 4 is usually the norm, yeah.
As you can see, this week has attracted top runners from all of the 4 series, and BMW and Bahrain circuit offering the opportunity for these drivers to stay on for another 4 days of testing to make the trip really worthwhile, recognising that having the cars away at this time of the year is never the best thing. Number 20, Eduardo Piscopo, in the Red Bull colours, been racing in the United States, and he was 5th in the championship over there. And down there on the grid, on the outside of row 3, we should see Aman Ibrahim next in the Team E-Rain car, the Indian driver, been involved with A1 GP.
They had a race last weekend, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. He was up at the crack of dawn to say that one. I love motorsport weekends during the winter when you've got live TV, and Motors TV continuing its commitment to live motorsport right throughout the winter. Marcus Holzer then, the pole sitter, right in the centre of your screen there, about to climb it. No, he's going to have a quick photograph first. And
he's definitely the man in form so far this weekend.
Undoubtedly,
yeah,
undoubtedly. I mean, and that you've got to say he's the man to beat, Kelvin, to be honest, because he's nailed every single start, whether he's been off the front or the second row. He's looked calm under pressure.
Yeah.
And really, aside from somebody getting up on the inside of him at the first corner, if he gets out in front, I think we can pretty much say, even in this normally tight formula, he could well check out.
Yeah, well, that's obviously what he's been trying to achieve in the heats, but I think he's been helped by the others. Looking at those highlights of the heats, the others falling over each other. There's been a hell of a lot of battling in that first corner, a lot of territory.
We haven't
defending.
seen some of the Brits, some of the guys from the British series. I'm going to start from the back. Oliver Turvey down in 30th, Ross Kernow in 29th, Stian Soli in 28th, Ewan Hankey in 26th. Ewan won the Rookie Cup in the UK this year. They've got a lot of work to do from there to get up into the top 10 for the money. Phil Glue, Matt Harris and Dean Smith together.
Dean Smith's the champion, reigning champion. 21st.
Dean Smith 21st.
Yeah, he won't be pleased with that.
Now, as I've said before, we are running the short circuit, so hard right after the run down to the first corner, short little wiggle, and then right again onto the paddock straight. The reason for that is principally because the Asia Pacific Championship have raced here as support to F1, and the organisers didn't want to give any of the Asia Pacific teams or championship runners an advantage, so the so-called paddock track is the one being used, just 3.5 kilometres around. It basically cuts out, if you think of the F1 circuit, the bit that runs up the hill, and pretty much all of the elevation changes. There's Joao Barno, who did all right this year in Germany,
3rd
in the championship, and was certainly spectacular in the British Championship a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was another one. Again, I know from my experience, he tended to get involved in a few incidents, so made himself some enemies. But he's obviously done a good job in Germany this year, 3rd in the championship, and he's in there with a shout.
3rd on the grid here as well, and you know, inside a row 2 is where you want to be. You really don't want to be sort of anywhere from 10th to about the mid-20s here, because you just get the feeling there, Kelvin, when you look at that grid, you know, 18 rows deep, you really don't want to be in that middle 10 rows, do you?
No, traditionally it's always where the trouble arises, and it's where the hardest battles are. You usually find the guys at the front are in the groove, and they're generally the best drivers, and they've got the job sorted, and they go away and race professionally. The ones in the middle have got points to prove, or you know, there's a few we can pick out of the grid, as we already have done, that want to. They'll be looking to move further off, and that's where you get the risky moves perhaps.
We'll just pause for a moment as we listen to the national anthem of Bahrain. Motors TV, BMW World Finals, and there is the scene on the grid for the first ever World Final for Formula BMW. And the cars, all 35 of them, on the grid Racing on a Friday because it's the weekend, of course, in the Gulf States. Middle of the afternoon there, as you can see, the sun just beginning to go down behind the camera position here. And this race running 45 minutes, it will be getting very dusk-like at the end of this race. And good idea that they've put a 45-minute limit on it, because if we'd had a lot of safety cars, we could be in the dark if we'd let it run to the full 25 laps. What a fantastic sight that is, bringing together the best runners from the 4 Formula BMW championships around the world.
Yeah, that's right. I bet these guys have never seen a grid this big, and indeed this widely spaced either. You can almost get 1.5 cars in between each car, which is not what they're normally used to in the British circuits. They'd be much more tightly packed.
Wouldn't it have been great if they'd started them either 2-3 or 3-4, like they used to do in the old game?
Well, when I raced Formula Ford, I can remember starting 3-2, 3-2. So the front row was 3 cars, the second row was 2, the third row was 3, and so on.
And if anybody can remember how long ago that was, when Kelvin Bird raced in Formula Ford and the grids were 3-2, 3-2, then let's get on the Motors TV forum and let us know. He's now threatening to throw hot coffee over me here as we look at some of the connections of the drivers. There is the grids, 35 cars, and when we come back on Motors TV, we'll have the whole of the first ever BMW World Final live. We'll see you in a few moments. Welcome to Bahrain International Circuit, home of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and now the very first Formula BMW World Final. Here at the end of the 2005 season, we've assembled 35 of the best young drivers from Formula BMW's 4 series across the world, in the Asia Pacific Championship, in Germany, in the USA, and of course from Great Britain. And they line up now with Marco Holzer in the Holzer Ren Sport car, number 4 on the left of your picture there. Ahead of him, behind him rather, Nicholas Hülkenberg, another German runner in the Kaufmann racing machine, and that's what it looks like from the first corner. I'm John Hindhaugh, alongside me is Kelvin Burt. Expect plenty of action live here on Motors TV. Flag to flag coverage with no breaks. We'll not be able to find time to take a break in the middle of all this. 25 laps. Oh, the problem for Albano. Albano has not got away from the start. João Albano, 3rd in the German Championship this year, 3rd on the grid at the World Final. Now, there's plenty of room for everyone to get by him here. Hopefully, shouldn't have a problem. Can he get it started? And if he can get going before the field goes by, he's allowed to retake his position. If not, he's going to fall right the way at the back, and that's 4 days of work down the tubes, Kelvin.
Yeah, terrible shame for him. Looks like he stalled the engine, or it stopped by itself. But as you say, John, as long as he gets away before the last guy has passed him, he can retake his position. But it didn't look to me like he would do that.
A massively complicated heat and scoring system gives this grid Holzer, Hülkenberg, Albano, and then Buemi. Sam Bird, the best of the UK runners from this year, Eduardo Piscopo, Ibrahim, Matt Howson in there, Dominic Wazim, Jonathan Summerton, a Brit who's been racing in the American Series, ahead of Matt Lee, Jordan Wise, another name familiar to those of you who watch the BTCC support coverage. Fabio Onidi's been at the centre of a number of incidents through the qualifying. Then it's Coletti, Tobias Hegerwald, James Davison, Harold Schlegel-Milch, Nathan Antunes, the Aussie in the British Championship, is in 18th, 19th Phil Blue, 20th Matt Harris, 21st British champion Dean Smith inside of the 11th row, and Smithy will not be happy about that as the young drivers weave behind the V10 M5 pace car. Awesome piece of machine, just the small matter of 500 horsepower and a road car. Yes, thank you. Where do we put our name down on the waiting list?
You see, the sun's obviously an issue for these drivers. Look at, most of them have got dark visors or a very deep strip at the top of the visor to try and protect the the sun glare.
You can see from the shadows there, Kelvin, they're going to get the sun coming into their eyes as they come onto the start-finish straight.
Yeah.
It's very low in the sky at this time of year, and when it goes down, it's like someone switching a light off, to be quite honest.
Let's see if we can pick up Urbano. He doesn't seem to.
I don't think he's got
he
there.
Should be third, so he's going to have to start from the back.
Quite a distinctive car. He's not been left on the grid. So drama indeed before we've even got the start of the first ever BMW World Finals. It's going to help Sam Bird, of course, because Sam Bird is going to have a spot in front of him that is free.
Yeah.
Watch for the 22 car then of Sam Bird.
Second in.
The car's just coming through, everyone peeling off into their positions. This is Bahrain and the first ever BMW Formula Junior World Finals 2005, end of the season, 35 cars and drama before we've even got the 20-lap, 5-lap final underway, because João Urbano, who should be the second car in that right-hand line, has stalled before he got away and he's at the back of the grid. Watch for the white car. There he is, just off the back of the grid, and there is the gap where he should be. Stand by for action. 25 laps or 45 minutes. John Hindhaugh and Kelvin Burt overlooking the action live for Motors TV. On pole position, Marco Holzer, Nicholas Hulkenberg alongside him. Urbano missing, so that leaves Sebastian Buemi on his own in the second row, and then Sam Bird in the red car. Watch the lights. 5 on and 5 off, and we're racing, making history in the first ever BMW World Final. Sam Bird gets a decent start, but not a blinder. Holzer, and already there's an accident further down the field, and Matt Lee, the American driver's involved in that. The yellow flags are already out, but the man who has got a perfect score for the weekend, Marco Holzer, is leading. A couple of the cars already stranded on the far side. I think Nathan Antunes might have been involved in that, Kelvin.
Yeah, there was a yellow car contacted, but is that the Antunes car there? The next one into shot is a yellow car.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
He got away with it. Yeah.
So the battle for the lead, Holzer and Hulkenberg. It was almost inevitable we'd have some contact on the getaway, even on that very wide run down. Now look at the battle between the two teammates, the Red Bull cars behind. Buemi and Piscopo together. Looking down, further down the field, 35 going through shot. Phil Blue, black car.
British driver.
Phil did a limited programme, of course, this year in the car. Matt Howson there in the 21 car, coming under some pressure as they go side by side. 20 is Piscopo, 22 is Sam Bird. So those guys battling for about 5th and 6th position. The leader is still Marco Holzer. He gets away. And just get ready for basically 25 laps of this, isn't it?
Big train of cars after this group here, just coming over the brow of the hill. We saw there's
that's Matt Howson
again, yeah, front runner in the British series, won a few races this year. He's about midfield, towards the front of midfield,
and he's already been drafted as we expected, seeing the cars in a huge lot. Well, this is the action we expect. Now look at these two on the left-hand side, as I think that's Piscopo on the inside and Bird on the outside. And there's Antunes also having to defend. Going through there, through shot is Stefano Coletti in the other Red Bull car. Double yellows. Is that Urbano? Is that João Urbano to the left? Can't see. I think that was the 11 car, you know, parked up. So whatever gremlins Urbano had at the start that failed to allow him to get off on the green flag lap is again. Howson has another little look in the red and white car.
I think that was Bird.
Bird, my apologies. Mixing up the red and white British runners. Sam Bird, Piscopo, just in front of him. Going through there, one of the many BMW Motorsport coloured car, that's Dominic Wazim. These little cars, 1200cc motorcycle engine, 6-speed sequential boxes, really been made to work hard on this long, pretty open circuit. They're flat out for over 80% of the track round here.
Yeah. Looks to me like Bird took the position, but he's got the guy right up behind him. Piscopo, the Italian.
Piscopo's been Italian, obviously, but he has been racing in the USA. Finished the top 5 in 5th position. Here we go.
And see how they all follow the lead car when one obviously goes to the inside. Antunes there having a go on Matt Howson. He is, of course, on the wrong side. He's on the outside for the first corner, which is a right-hander, but he looks slightly in front to me, so it's see who's the bravest on the brakes.
Oh, and we're not going to see it as Sam Bird goes through. Sam Bird, and here's the start again. Now look in the middle of the pack. Let's see if we can see what happens.
Yeah, there's the yellow car mid-screen now. Is Nathan Antunes. He contacted from the rear by, was it the American driver?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Matt Lee. Yeah, there's Matt Lee going across to the left. Broken suspension on that yellow car. Back to live action now. Well, as we said, almost inevitable that there would be some action. That's Antunes just losing a place in the 31 car, the Motor World Racing entry, and Stefano Coletti. And he's come up well in the Team Mucca Motorsport car.
Yeah, he's hassling Antunes there.
Yeah,
very close up with the gearbox.
Oh,
a bit of extra. It's too dusty to use that there. He's actually lost ground.
Now, interestingly, as you're looking at the times there of the leaders as they go through, as you can see, half a second between first and second, and then about another 8/10 behind. The immediate area alongside the track, which looks like sand and is that beige colour, is actually quite gritty because it's a tarmac or a concrete, sort of almost like shell grip, but just painted beige.
Two cars spinning there onto the straight, just gone out of shot there, the start of the straight.
And there's a problem, yeah, and there's certainly a problem for one of the cars further back up the grid. We'll see him, up the line now, we'll see him pull off, I'm sure. Looked like suspension damage. Still haven't been able to confirm whether the car off just to the left of that shot. That is a Barnow's car.
Yeah,
it is a Barnow's car. Shame for him. Bad start. Now, what happens at the final corner? Oh dear. You didn't want to do that, did you? That's Salama Al Khalifa, the Asia Pacific champion, lost it completely coming down to the final corner.
Lost it under braking and then spun across the corner. Lucky not to be collected hard by another car. Yeah. Yes. Sam Bird here with a little bit of a breathing space, so he can concentrate on closing down the one in front of him. He's running fourth, I believe, at the minute.
Yeah. The red and white 22 car. Started in 5th position. He's made up a one position, of course, because of Joao Barnow's demise earlier on the Fortec car. This is the battle for the lead, and in fact the lead has changed hands. Hulkenberg and Holzer, as Al Khalifa's car in the background there at the final turn is left stranded. So Hulkenberg leads Holzer. So Holzer didn't get his
there's a car in the middle of the track.
Yes, there is.
Yellow flag, so we're going to get a safety car. That car's in a dangerous place in the middle of that final corner.
Now, is that the detritus? Yep. Yes. Kelvin calls it right. You see, there is the voice of a British GT champion. He'd have been in the pits like the clappers there for his pit stop. That's going to bring out the safety car. Now, was that the detritus of the original accident of Khalifa? And someone is in fact diving into the pits. No pit stops mandatory here, but of course if there's flat spots to the tyres, if you're going to do anything, it will give you at least an opportunity. It's the BMW World Final, and there's the other car involved, and I think that's Jack Goldstraw's car, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's out of it. The British Team SWR car is stranded in the middle of the final corner, and that's brought out the safety car. Well, we thought that this might happen, and that is why part of the problem, Salman Al Khalifa, the Team E-Rain car. I'm not an engineer, certainly not a suspension engineer, but that's not right, is it, Kelvin Bird?
No, it's running a little toe in, that car, but no, he had quite a big spin. I was lucky not to get the car more damage than that, and with that car on the edge of the circuit and the car Jack Goldstraw smack in the middle of the circuit, obviously they need to remove those so that racing can continue.
Safety car out then, bunches up the field. I'll remind you that you're watching the BMW World Final, first ever running of this event, live on Motors TV from the Sakir circuits. Just around about 25 minutes, half an hour outside of the main city here in Bahrain. Actually considerably less if you drive it in a GT car on the road, an FIA GT car, which unbelievably is exactly what happened when we were there last year around about this time. About 30 FIA GT cars allegedly being controlled by a rolling police convoy, which worked fine on the way there, but on the way back, it got a little leery. It was a lot of fun. As our friends from dailysportscar.com, who were in the same van that I was driving, will testify to, a Toyota Previa has never been pushed so hard. Now, this is then going to close everything back up again. To be fair, Kelvin, we didn't have big gaps. And there's Nathan Antunes, he's made good progress through that. Quite a lot of cars down in the midfield as we expected. Here's one coming towards us.
With a damaged wing.
Yeah, they've got some damage. I think that is Arman Ibrahim, who has been plying his trade in various other forms of motorsport. Now,
Another one pulled off just there on the right.
again, suspension damage, and you know, you don't need, we should make the point here, Kelvin, that you just don't need that much contact, particularly at the speeds that these cars are doing here.
No, I mean they look very fragile. The wheels outboard there on the thin little spindly legs, but they are actually quite tough. And these cars have got the wheel tied on with a safety steel cable, which tether to stop the wheel. If they do lose a wheel, it stops it from removing from the car and flying into the crowd, which I think that's something they've inherited from US racing on the ovals.
Well, we did mention Fabio Onidi and said that he'd been at the centre of a lot of our highlights package, and there we are again. You see, started in 13th position in the Team Muka Motorsport car, and he is out early. Sad for him, really, the 9 car. So it looks like we've got the 2 or 3 cars, actually it was probably more like half a dozen, that were basically parked around the circuit. Now in the pit lane, that is another British runner.
Yeah.
That's Ewan Hankey, the rookie champion in the Nexa racing car. Now he was top rookie this year and ran in the top half dozen of the series for most of the season, and obviously some technical problem. Looks like the front has been off that car.
He's off, but he will have lost at least a lap. Yep, as they cross the start-finish line, he won't be allowed to leave the pits, I don't think, which means he'll lose a lap.
The safety car lights are still on. It's been a full week of racing here at Bahrain International Circuit, with free practice on Tuesday, first set of qualifying on Wednesday. Thursday were the heats and the pre-final. Thursday and Friday being equivalent to the weekend back here in Europe. As we're watching the 5 car of Dominic Lazim. The whole of the drivers going through. Now the sun is dropping, and all these tinted visors are very quickly going to be a problem if the sun goes down very much further. Can't imagine there's going to be too much more behind the safety car, Kelvin.
No, that car that was on the right in this shot is now gone. So the thing to look for is the lights on the roof of that BMW. I think it's an M3, is it?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be an M5, that's what I was told, but I think you're right, I think it is an M3.
When the lights go out, that means the car will pull in the pits next time.
Actually, if I be right, Anorak, it hasn't got M3 mirrors on it, so it's a BMW. Right? Then again, we're not in the best position to say that just from the pictures we're seeing. What's the key then, Kelvin? You've done many rolling starts, you're at the front of the field, you've done the hard work getting away from the start line. First of all, it must be very frustrating sitting in behind the safety car. So what have you got to do to get a clean start?
It's only frustrating for the guy that was leading. It's good news for all the others, obviously. A common mistake I often see is hanging back to try and get a run through the last corner. You see drivers hang back. There's a bit of a gap here. And common mistake is hanging back to get a run on the guy in front of you. But of course, while you're hanging back, if he accelerates, you've already given yourself a big gap, and you lose your space. So you must stay close to the car in front. That's the best tip I can give.
Forget those time differentials. Hulkenberg leads then, got the jump on Holzer early in the first lap. Holzer definitely got the whole shot and disappeared round the first corner. Then we started watching the incidents behind them, but Hulkenberg in the 24 car leads it from Holzer, 2 of the German runners. Safety car lights are still on, so there'll be at least one more lap as the young drivers desperately weave left and right to try and get some or retain the heat in the tyres. Hulkenberg in the Josef Kaufmann racing car, and lists Ayrton Senna and Kimi Räikkönen as his idols, and likes the Euro Speedway at Lausitz. It's his favourite circuit. If he wins here and takes $10,000, I've got a feeling that this one might bounce to the top of the list. As with many of these drivers, of course, their experience is very limited as far as car racing is concerned. Let's look back to the start again. Let's watch this incident in the middle of the pack that saw Matt Lee getting bumped out. Kelvin?
Yeah, so it's the yellow, and you saw Matt Lee jink all of a sudden. Obviously, that's where the two cars made contact and collected the other yellow car, which goes off to the right. There's a different angle of it. The yellow car with the broken left rear suspension. Matt Lee on the left there on the grass. And game over for those two.
Now, that was the Al Khalifa incident that saw the safety car come out. You know, he obviously collected somebody, and that someone we think was, yeah, well, there's the confirmation. You see, that's broken, isn't it?
Yeah.
That really is.
And you can see that tether we were talking about, the wheels off, the whole suspension detached, but the thing's still attached to the body. A good safety point.
Jack Goldstraw's car being recovered. Looks like the circuit is just about clear. We'll be back to racing, I'm sure, in just a few minutes here from Bahrain, live on Motors TV. Yeah, the point we were about to make before we saw those replays, most of these drivers, in fact, Kelvin, have nothing other than kart racing experience, but we can't stress enough how important it is to get these guys racing at an early age in the UK now, as Khalifa's car is the only car still to be recovered at the top of the shot there. You just can't buy the kind of experience that going racing gets you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, karting itself is a good grounding, and it is racing, but it's slightly different from full-size car racing. And of course, the earlier you start, the more weapons you've got in your armoury as you grow up and mature and become a professional driver. You've just got more history. I mean, you can get...
It's racecraft.
You can get 20-year-olds now with 10 or 12 years race experience, which is certainly very different from when I started racing.
It's you know, there's no doubting that talent and driving talent plays a part in all of this, Kelvin.
Yeah.
But what you can't teach somebody is racecraft. What you can't teach somebody when to stick their nose up the inside and when not to.
No, they learn by mistakes, and
sadly,
and usually their father's cost, but that's how you learn, by mistakes, obviously. And the more mileage you can do, the more you learn. Simple as that.
We're seeing here 35 drivers from right across the globe who are taking their opening steps on the ladder of hopefully their motorsport career. One of them there going through, that's Nicholas Hulkenberg, the German champion. He's the leader at the moment behind the safety car. Yeah. It seems to me that over the last few years, and this is why I'm quite glad to see this initiative, it seems that we've almost diluted the pool of talent with a lot of different formula. In the old days it was karting, Formula Ford, Formula 3, 3000 Formula 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a very clear ladder. That ladder is not so clear now. The drivers have got more choice. Personally, I don't think that's a good thing, because it dilutes the field, and you can win one particular championship, whichever championship that may be, but you haven't necessarily come up against all of the best guys at that level, because your other rivals could be off racing in other series. So you obviously find out later when you progress up the ladder, then you come against guys that you haven't previously seen and you may never have heard of, and it can be a bit of a shock. So I do think there's a definite case for consolidating the motorsport ladder and concentrating it, because also it spreads the sponsors and it spreads the teams thinly and far and wide, and it would be better for everyone if it was more concentrated.
There's been a concerted effort here in the UK over the last few years to get rid of some of the superfluous formula. Well over 100 different formulae in the UK at the moment. Alan Gow takes over on the 1st of January as the chairman of the Motorsport Association, and I know that's been a particular hobby horse of his. The problem is always that you have to balance that with people who have quite often expensive machinery and invested a lot of money and time and effort into it, and they need to go somewhere racing.
Yeah, you can't, I suppose you can't stop people from racing if they want to, if they've got the machinery. But certainly from a professional level, most of these drivers, if you speak to them, they would have an ambition to be a Formula 1 driver. So certainly on the professional ladder, or the would-be professional ladder, then it needs consolidating to keep all the talent in one place. And then any particular championship and champion, whichever driver wins the championship, his victory holds a lot more status.
Yeah, it's worthy. Yeah, good point. We've seen in the last couple of years BMW obviously getting very involved in it, pushing these young guys, racing from as young as 15 now in this championship, as the safety car lights are out. So we'll just break off for a moment, because we will be back racing in just a few moments' time. We'll finish off that thought as Nicholas Hülkenberg continues to lead under safety car. We'll be back racing in just a moment. The safety car is about to pull off after an extended period behind it, where we've seen at least half a dozen Formula BMW cars removed from the 3.5-kilometre circuit here at Bahrain. Now, where's the safety car gone?
And the lights are green.
The lights are green, and as soon as he crosses the line, Hülkenberg is going to get... And there's the accident behind! And it's, I think, in the middle there, that was Sam Bird, was it?
No, I think Bird's
he's a little bit further
still
up the
here
field.
on the left at the front.
Well, that was an amazing restart. Hülkenberg at the front of the field, desperately weaving left and right, trying to get some heat in the tyres, in the Michelin rubber, and confusing everyone behind them. The lights were green, but obviously no overtaking before the start line. He just didn't go.
No, that's his prerogative. The leader controls the pace, and he can accelerate as and when he wants, provided the lights are green, as they were. He's allowed to go when he likes, but it perhaps wasn't the smartest move, because I think it probably contributed to that incident behind. We see Antunes here, who's made up a lot of places, making another one on Matt Howson. In fact, I think he made 2 places there, so he has progressed fantastically. He started 18th on the grid, and looking at that, he's running sort of 8th, 9th, so that's great progress. That's
Robert Wittens, the Canadian, in the 15 car, right in amongst it as well, and Tunis in the yellow and black car that we've been seeing racing in the UK. 21, Matt Howson in the Filtel Motorsport car. There are your leaders, and it's still Hülkenberg from Holzer. Holzer, the man of the week so far, has a perfect score from his heats.
The British driver Sam Bird has lost a position since the restart. He was running 4th pre-safety car, and Antunes is actually, I think, 6th place, which is fantastic, from 18th on the grid.
Yeah, he's done a great job. He had Phil Glue right behind him in the black 35 car
again.
Safety car's out because, and there's going to be a shunt behind if they're not careful. We're going to have people have their wits about them as they go 4 wide, and there's all kinds of overtaking going on under yellows there.
They've slowed up. I think we're okay.
Oh, seen that happen before so many times, haven't you?
Yeah.
Now let's have a look at this. The leader, Kelvin, just
still weaving. Look at top screen. The lights are green. He can go if he wants, but he's waited and waited and those cars collect each other whilst...
Coletti it was who got collected, and it was the second of the Red Bull cars. I thought that was Piscotto, but no. And there is Coletti.
Not pleased.
No, not at all. God, they look so young, don't they?
Yeah, I was thinking that on the earlier shot.
There is the remains of the 7-car Stefano Coletti and the Mucca Motorsport car, teammate to Fabio Onidi, so they're not having a great final so far. 2 of their 5 cars already out that we know of. In fact, 3, because Urbano drives for them as well, and he didn't even get started. Jonathan Summerton, the American driver, who was also involved in that, and I think it was Summerton who ran up the back then of that car.
He's an American. He should have been good on the safety car situation.
So we're back under safety car conditions. That means I can finish the thought that we were going to do about manufacturers in junior motorsport. You're watching the BMW World Finals live on Motors TV. Second safety car period in America. They say that yellows bring yellows, and we've exactly had that situation. An accident at the final corner. So Salman Al Khalifa's car and Jack Goldstraw's car stranded in the middle of the track after an incident earlier on, and just coming to the end of the yellow to the green flag, or the green lights, the leader Nicholas Hulkenberg holding the field back, and
all the way to the start line.
Right to that point there, causing all kinds of trouble. I think at one stage we actually had about 6 or 7 wide on the circuit, and sadly Jonathan Summerton in the red and white car drove straight up the back of Stefano Coletti in the Red Bull car to the top of the picture there. Both of those cars out. I'm surprised, actually, pleasantly surprised, that there wasn't even a worse incident there, with everyone trying to get on the gas.
Yeah. Often in a big field like this, the guys at the back can't see that the leader hasn't gone yet, and they'll naturally start accelerating and then reach 2 or 3 cars in front of them that haven't yet started accelerating, and there just isn't time to stop, and that can be quite a nasty situation. But
in my very short karting career, I was always told coming round to the start line to expect a green flag. So therefore you were always on it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. And you can't see if the guys in front are checking up. These cars don't have brake lights.
No, and it is a great opportunity to make easy places. It also is a very risky situation, but it is a great opportunity to make easy places. So it's a lot easier to out-anticipate a driver on a restart than it is to pass him under racing conditions, because he'll defend, obviously, but if you can catch him unawares, you can often take 2 or 3 cars and just breeze past. Safety car lights still flashing. I'm just thinking about what Hulkenberg was up to there on that restart, why he held them all up right up to the line, and I think, even though it caused an accident indirectly, he's not that stupid, because I think what he was probably doing was preventing them from gaining too much speed to slipstream him and lose his lead, so he was bottling them up as much as he could, so consequently he had a shorter run down to the first corner, so it was actually quite smart.
Nathan Antunes there, the 31 car ahead of him, Dominic Wazim. We haven't seen a run down for a little while. 37, we haven't called that name, that's Matt Harris. He's up there towards the end of the top 10. Now here's the start again, and there was action right from the beginning. Watch the yellow car in the middle of screen, and there's the incident. And that was the number 14 car, Matt Lee. Jordan Wise right in amongst that as well, next to Matt Lee on the grid, as was Jonathan Summerton. He managed to avoid that. Coletti, Hegevald, Davison all around that area. That's Al Khalifa.
That's the cause of the first safety car.
And any second now we'll see Jack Goldstraw's car being craned away. There it is. And Khalifa's car moved as well. Interesting colour, that. Now here's the restart.
You see the leader, Hulkenberg, holding them all up, and already the contact behind him. He left it very, very late before accelerating, and that's the Italian driver, is it?
It is. That's
Coletti. Yeah.
Obviously not very happy. Right, let's take this time then just to explore what I was going to say while the safety car was out before. Kelvin Burton alongside John Hindhaugh here live on Motors TV. Remember, this is a timed race, so we are potentially losing racing laps here. We'll keep you in the loop about that as the word comes through from race control. We're talking about BMW making a ladder of progression for these cars, for these drivers, with various scholarships and constant help and advice being given by such people as Andy Priol, Alex Zanardi, Nigel Mansell being brought on board next year as another advisor stroke ambassador. Renault doing the same thing, and they've got a rail ladder now with World Series, with their GP2. We've got Nissan with World Series. The manufacturers really getting involved now.
They are, I think Renault are probably the most active in that respect, and of course manufacturers are in this for their own reasons, but it is a great opportunity for drivers, and certainly what I think it does produce for the drivers is it gets them into a professional way of thinking and acting very early in their driving careers, and they can go on media courses and learn how to talk to the press and do TV interviews, which certainly I never did at that age, and that's all good for the sponsors and the promotion and raising the professionalism of the series. And it's good to have a series backed by the resources of a manufacturer from that respect, but also from the financial respect. You know that's a credible series. It's not going to fold, it's not going to go bankrupt, because BMW, it's in their interest that it is a success.
I mean, you look after the interests of a number of drivers. You've coached young drivers, you've managed young drivers, including some, in fact, in the Formula BMW UK series. Oh dear, now that looks like, was that just a lock up there by the 37 car is Matt Harris, teammate to Jack Goldstraw.
I think he's okay.
Yeah, I don't know what he did there. What is the biggest obstacle that the youngsters have to have to overcome nowadays? Is it still just money?
Yeah, it's the same as what it always is. Motor racing is expensive, and even at this level, a budget for a season of this racing in Britain, I can't speak for the other countries, but in Britain, it's about £140,000 for a season. Of course, at the end of that year, there'll be one champion, but there'll be 25 losers, and they've got to go again the next year and repeat it.
It's not pocket change, is it?
No, it's difficult. And of course, the more you climb the ladder, the more the ante goes up.
Calvin Burt there, musing on some of the problems that these young drivers will face year on year, and it's not just a single year's investment, of course. As you can see, you're not missing any of the racing action here live on Motors TV. Bahrain International Circuit proving that it doesn't matter how wide you build the tarmac, you've got 15-year-old drivers
Champing at the bit there.
Still not wide enough.
No. Let's see. We kind of hope Hulkenberg doesn't repeat what he did on the first safety car, which was bottle them all up. But
there's the top six.
Yeah.
Sam Bird right up there, back into fifth position. Lost his fourth to Eduardo Piscopo. The German series, well represented there.
Another one to watch, I think, in seventh currently is Nathan Antunes. He's an Australian driver, been racing in Britain the last 2 seasons, and so far he's been a bit of a star this race. Started 18th and he's progressed so far to 7th, and he's picking them off one by one.
Yeah, it's not just the accidents and the carnage that has got him up there. He has led races, has won a race in the UK. Should have won more, to be honest. He was leading comfortably at Donington Park when he went down one gear too many, coming down the hill into the old hairpin, and lost it. When he had that one in the bag, that was an expensive lesson to learn.
Yeah.
Didn't do much damage, but cost himself a race win. And amazingly enough, as Kelvin, I'm sure, will testify, the ones that got away are the ones you remember just as much as the ones you win.
That's true, yeah. Kick yourself. I'm pretty hard on myself in those kind of situations as well. Really.
Going through shot there, the 28 cars, James Davison, the Aussie, who has been relatively successful this season. Red car, top 10 going through there. I'm trying to see if I can pick up people like Phil Blue and also Dean Smith. 17 cars, the one you're looking for the British champion. However, as you can see, the safety lights atop the BMW safety car are out, and the weaving begins again. Safety car is off. Watch the green lights. This time, the leader, Nicholas Hulkenberg, has got the hammer down early, and he's caught them all napping. Well, he bottled them all up last time, which was undoubtedly a contributing factor to the accident that brought out the second safety car, but Hulkenberg leads from Holter in second place, and he's got an absolute flyer. Sam Bird got a pretty good start. That's Piscopo in front of him. Sam Bird, the leading GB runner, second place in the championship. McLaren BRDC Young Driver of the Year nominee, didn't win that, of course, but good to see the Formula BMW were represented in the finalists. That's your leading bunch. Then there is Antunes in 7th place. Calvin Burt mentioning it earlier on.
Yellow car.
Yeah, yellow and black. And behind him, this is, I think, if I get another shot of that, I'll tell you if I'm right, but I think, is that Matt Harris behind him? He's come up through the field as well. The 22, the bright red car.
Harris is a red car, yeah.
Yeah. And I think he's followed Antunes through. 22 is Sam Bird, the red and white car. We'll get another look at that as the cars come through.
Bird quite well positioned here. I think we might see a lunge into the next braking area.
Yeah, downhill. Right-hander coming up, but he can't get it done. Behind him, he's got Dominic Wazim. Behind Wazim is Antunes.
Into the front straight, and Bird still very well positioned here for a go under brakes. Piscopo, you can see looking in his mirror and covering that right-hand side, forces Bird to switch to the outside, but it's a long enough straight. He could have towed past him by the time they hit the brakes at the end here. Let's have a look. Bird looks in front to me, but of course he's on the outside. No.
Not quite enough room there either, because it's deceptive from this camera position. It really tightens up there, so you can't tough it out on the outside. So Bird has a look down the inside into the right-hander, going back into the paddock area.
It's aggressive racing.
Little change of surface there, or at least a little bump that unsettles the cars as they come through there. Bird still having a look for 4th position.
We want to get through cleanly and soon, because the first 3 are making a bit of a break here.
Yeah.
Still in a good position.
Left-hander coming up, just can't get it done. Slightly uphill now as they're back on the Grand Prix circuit again. Oh, and ahead of him, Piscotty's just gone a little bit wide. Can't get it done though, as it's another right-hander that comes up, but this is good aggressive driving.
Still side by side, but not quite.
Now down on the inside again, and Sam Bird can see the top 3 of Hulkenberg, Holzer and Buemi getting away, and that's giving him the hurry up.
Good dice, this.
Very good indeed, and not slowing them down too much.
No.
Behind them is the 5 car of Dominic Wazim, then Antunes, just beginning to get on terms with them now. The good thing about this track, Kelvin, is because it's so wide, you can have a bit of a dice without really dropping back
without
into
losing
clutches.
too much, yeah.
Now he's not as close on the front straight this time, but he could be by the time they get into the braking area. There's the leaders, 1, 2 and 3,
Yeah.
24, 4 and 5.
The rear wing on that Red Bull car, the number 20 car is very light. What I mean by that is the setting is very low, so he's going to be quick on the straight and difficult to tow past on the straight.
And he's not making a big hole in the air either to drag through, but Sam is very quick through the twisty bits. Another long straight now, this part of the drag strip that runs, in fact, the opposite direction. Drag racing very big in Bahrain. The FIA series going across there for a demonstration run shortly, and Bird in a good position again, dives to the inside for the left-hander. He gets underneath now, can he hold on to it?
Oh, shame. I thought he'd done that.
That was very brave by the Italian, and now Wazim comes to play behind them, and Antunes is hunting in there as well. Dominic Wazim round the outside in the blue and white car, the number 5 machine, and Sam Bird, I think, could pay the penalty here of not getting that overtaking manoeuvre done. Meeting the sandwich at the moment, and here's Antunes, got a great run.
Let's see if Antunes gets both of them here. They're scrapping each other side by side. Matt House, another British runner in the red car there.
Yeah, it was House, I thought so. Matt House in the 21 machine.
Bird driving a very defensive line, which is going to help these 2 or 3 cars behind him. Let's see what happens on the front straight.
Oh, Antunes almost getting out of the draft there, and he didn't want to do that. Look how aggressively he got back in.
He went too early. Now halfway down the straight,
that's Wazim.
Already pulled out is Wazim. Antunes also has got some speed. Oh, don't get through there.
Kelvin and I sitting forward on our seats there as Sam Bird has to defend up the inside. Wazim and Antunes almost touching wheels. Howson behind in the red car. This is what it looked like. How close was it? That close. Oh, you don't want to be in there.
They squeezed him. He had such good speed there, Antunes, the yellow car, and he had to back out of it because they concertinaed him.
And Matt Howson was on the extreme left of that picture there. Yeah. Couldn't actually see him.
Good race.
This is really good. Now this is for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th position, and in 9th.
So Bird's got the position actually. Bird's through.
No, Bird was there already.
Beg your pardon.
Don't panic me like that, Mr. Bird. So he's been defending that, but he's got away a little bit. Now it's Wazim who's under pressure. That's Matt Howson ahead of him, Antunes. Behind him is that Hegerwald that's behind him? Thomas Hegerwald? Oh, that's a mistake.
He's going to lose ground there, driving on the dust. His tyres will pick up the dust, Wazim, so he'll be struggling at the next corner.
And behind them, it's Robert Wittens, the Canadian, and behind him, he's kind of straining his old eyes. Nice colour scheme on that Wazim car.
Running wide again.
Last corner as well. You really don't want to go wide there. Now, look at this. We've got 2 trains of cars. Howson in the red car has got some problems with Witten down the inside, and he's really lost the initiative there,
I think
Kelvin.
Howson's going to lose that position, and there's a second car. He's wondering which car to slipstream, but Howson has lost the initial position there to Wazim, I believe.
He's lost to Wittens. Yeah, in the Canadian, and behind them...
tightly packed here.
This is wonderful stuff. Antunes now heads that bunch. Now look how quickly Sam Bird has been able to clear off at the front of this.
He did, of course, lose a bit of ground to the 3-4 leaders, so he'll be closing that down now.
Now, on the right-hand side of your screen, look at Matt House in the 21 car. He's got right alongside him Dominic Wazim in the car with the yellow side plates on the end of the rear wing. He's the German runner. This is a phenomenal battle. Now, this is further down the field, I think. This is the battle.
Ross Kurnow.
Yeah, they're not that far behind. And we're going to have a 5 or 6 car battle very, very shortly.
No, in fact, Kurnow's just taken Howson. That is Kurnow, the blue and white car in the middle of the picture.
You're right.
Yeah,
that was who was coming up behind.
He's come up from 29th on the grid, so that's good racing from him. Of course, helped a bit by the safety cars.
There's a whole bunch of British drivers down in the high 20s qualification. They didn't get the best of the heats, and they have gradually begun to pick people off. The safety car period's not helping them, and Howson again under pressure. We're looking further back down the grid. Remember, Jalabano in 3rd place had a problem and didn't get to his grid spot, dropped out early on, had 2 safety car periods. There's Howson, the 21 car, Filsel Motorsport, back onto the infield section again, and Tunes. Now there's Sam Bird, and Sam Bird's right back up with Piscopo again.
That's good. That's the car he was looking to pass earlier on at the restart of this third phase of the race, and that'll be for 3rd position.
Yeah, and that is a podium position beckoning for the top British run at the moment. Sam Bird 2nd in the championship. Robert Wickens, we saw a brief glimpse of the Canadian driver just ahead of Howson. There he is. And 33 also coming up through the field, as we've mentioned before.
Kurnow,
that's Ross Kurnow.
And,
oh, hey, Sam Bird.
Looking threatening.
He's been here before, of course, Kelvin. Now, what's going on? What are you doing here? Laps are running out. We're into the last 5 or 6 laps already.
Well, we know he's quick enough because has he pulled out too soon? He's gone back in underneath the gearbox, but he's actually for 4th position, not 3rd.
My fault, yeah.
Because he's again alongside, but on the outside. So unless.
And behind them, it looks like Tunes is under pressure as well from Wickens and also from Ross Kurnow, the Canadian and the Brit.
Tucks back in.
I think he's going to get him at the end of this next straight if he's going to get him anywhere. We got up alongside him before. He's very neat and tidy.
Yeah.
Hulkenberg leads from Holter, and it's nearly 2 seconds now. 3rd is Sebastian Buemi, and then that battle for 4th place. At the top of the screen now, is Bird close enough? Well,
not this time.
Piscopo felt the need to go early and go defensive, and then I think he's realised that Bird's not close enough. Through the left-hander, climbing now up the hill. They'll peel off to their right and then start dropping down towards the final corner, and that's where Bird needs to be, right up under the Hewland gearbox of Piscopo's car ahead of him. Takes a completely different line there.
Tighter line, and got a good run through that last corner.
He's just hanging out there, at the moment, letting Piscopo, the Italian ahead of him, know he's there. Not close enough as they come into the braking area for turn 1, but didn't make the lunge that time, so didn't lose any gap.
No, he wasn't the final. He's on the final corner now onto the straight. Here
coming down the straight. A lot of long straights here. Now he's going to stay there. And Tunes, the black and yellow car behind.
Defending a big group of cars.
Oh, bit of waving going on there. And that's Kurnow. He's got cars behind him as well. Wickens in there.
Bird didn't duck out, and Tunes is under attack here on his inside.
Wickens, I think, up the inside. The Canadian, as he got through, he's interlocking wheels. This could all go horribly wrong, but
good, clean, close racing. That nobody did anything naughty, but they're bottled up 2 or 3 behind.
Yeah, and that's Wazin up there with. That's Kurnow's gone through, I think, and took another position there. And Tunes leads. These 2 cars, oh look, they're all coming back together again. And then Tunes, once again, with big problems, and his mirrors full of Formula BMW cars. Matt Howson on the back of that now. He's been shuffled back just a little bit. There's Wickens, the German driver ahead of him. Then Kurnow. And Tunes then just hanging on to that position at the moment. This looks like a kart race.
Yeah, it's great racing. Kurnow nips out of line there. Is he under attack or is he taking a position? I think he's defending a position.
He is.
Yeah.
It's Dominic Wazin, who has been very racing. Meantime, Sam Bird's
taken 4th place. Great.
Yeah, great news for Sam Bird. He was the best British qualifier, 5th position.
Under attack here.
The Fortec driver having to defend right into the pit lane exit.
He's got that, he's safe.
Good lad, middle of the track. Doesn't really compromise your exit from that first right-hander too much, Kelvin.
No, the thing is with very tight corners like that, where you can't actually accelerate out of the corner that much, it's okay to go in on a tight line.
Wonder where he got him. I bet he got him at the end of this straight, because he's been very quick. Now that's the lead 3, and it's Nicholas Hulkenberg, the young German driver, who has been impressive this weekend.
They're having to defend here.
Hulkenberg, Holzer and Buemi at the moment. 3 Germans. Oh!
And Tunis has lost a position.
He has. That's Wickens, the Canadian, going around the outside of the 15 car. He started well down the grid. He started down in 27th, Robert Wickens. There was a pause there as I looked down the grid.
Yeah, and that's a long way to look.
That was a long way back. So Robert Wickens, the Canadian, who was in the Team Auto Technica machine, has done very well. And in fact, we're on the last lap, and the checkered flag is out as the light fades. That may well have been on time then.
Sandberg, there's good battle for 4th here. Sandberg pushing.
Going to be very tight for the line.
We can't tell who's in the lead of those two. I think Bird just about, but have they crossed the line yet?
Yes, they have. That's the line there, and Tunis will come home in 6th place.
Yeah, so the finish line's not in the same place as the start line.
In common with a lot of F1 tracks.
Yeah.
So unofficially then, I'll give that to Nicholas Hulkenberg for Kaufmann Racing. Holzer, who's had a picture-perfect weekend up until now, relegated to 2nd place, doesn't win the one that counts. Sebastian Buemi for Mucke in 3rd place. And then we think, although look for a photograph, because Sam Bird and Eduardo Piscopo very, very close indeed, ahead of Nathan Antunes and Robert Wickens. It looked like Antunes had just nicked that back on the last lap.
Yeah, I think so. Good race, all race long from Bird and Piscopo. And
slightly disappointed we had 2 rather extended safety car periods. Could have done with having the crashes, which were really only minor crashes. They could have been cleared up. Could have been cleared up a bit quicker. Never want to criticise the men and women in orange or white, but I think they could do with a little more in terms of flatbeds or helicopters, as we've seen in some places. Now, what we've got to say as well is, as you can see there, the 24 car that has just won is also a rookie this year.
Great, yeah. He's the German champion.
German champion,
and also
German
the
rookie champion. And now the Formula BMW World Final champion. Not a bad season.
Good season. Pocket that dirt. And did he win all the? Did he win all the bonuses from the heats?
Well, Holzer won all the bonuses from the heats. So he's pocketed about 5 grand, we think. 10 grand to that young man. Dollars we're talking about, which I think at the current rate of exchange is £37.50. I jest. There he is, the young man who lists the Lausitzring as his favourite circuit. I think that might just change. When you look at his date of birth, I think he's, what is he, 1987?
87.
Yes, oh dear. I've got a pair of training shoes that are older than he is. Dear. He likes listening to music and lists Kimi Räikkönen and Ayrton Senna. German kart champion, junior and senior in 203, 202, 03 and 04, jumped straight into Formula BMW, won the Rookie Cup and won the championship, as Kelvin said.
That's a good CV. So in the last 4 years, he's been the champion each year. Beg your pardon. 2nd in 2004.
Yeah.
Aside from that, champion each season.
You've got to say that is the sort of thing that attracts team managers. Here he comes into the Parc Fermé, just off to his left, which has been graced by Formula One drivers. The head and neck restraint, of course, Hans device. Oh, hello. We've seen this with German drivers before. That's actually quite a feat.
Yeah. Do you reckon he's practiced that?
Yeah, there's not a lot to stand on there. Fortunately, he's only 62 kilos. If I put my 90 kilos on that, I might do some damage.
I think that was the BMW Motorsport boss. They're the first to congratulate him.
I know that Nigel Mansell is out there this week as well with his 2 sons. And here are some highlights right at the start. The action began early. middle of the screen, you're going to see Matt Lee, the American, get nerfed out of it. Watch the car, there it goes, the 14 machine, damaged beyond repair. Down, you can see there, the number 4, Marco Holzer, did get the whole shot and did lead into the first corner, and we managed to get the remainder of the cars through.
Yeah, big gaggle behind the... Yeah, there's Holzer, good start. So position change somewhere. There's the incident we've seen a few times. Mid-screen now. 3 cars collect. One goes left, one goes right.
Thank you and good night.
Rattles everyone else up.
This was Sam Al-Khalifa losing it under braking and getting collected by Jack Goldstraw, and that was heavy, but it could have been a whole heck of a lot worse.
Nasty one, that.
Brought out the safety car for the first of 2 times that we would see it on the track. This was the restart. Now watch in the middle as the Red Bull car gets spun around.
That was the Italian, I believe.
Yeah.
Not Piscopo.
And that was Sebastian. No, it wasn't. I'll get it right in a minute. It was Stefano Coletti.
Yeah.
My apologies. Got turned around. Now, the indicative of the type of racing we've seen on a 1,000-metre straight. Now, just look how Nathan Antunes, I think he touched there, you know.
Yeah.
I think that was wheel-to-wheel touching.
He had such good speed, and the two of them squeezed him, and from that, Antunes actually went backwards a little bit from that. He came under increased pressure, as we see here.
Race-long battle with the number 5 car of Dominic Wazim, but it was Nicholas Hulkenberg who took it from Holzer in 2nd place, 3rd Sebastian Buemi. But look at the battle. 4th there. I tell you what, I wouldn't call that, you know.
No,
I'd like to see the standings. Sam Bird, we want to give 4th to Sam Bird, and he got it.
Yeah, he did.
Now, interestingly there's a car missing from that, and Antunes has got 5th, Wickens is 6th, so missing from that is Piscopo. Now, is that because of some indiscretion going off the circuit? That, I'm afraid, we can't tell you, but Hulkenberg wins it in the end comfortably. 3 seconds the gap between himself and Holzer. Buemi in 3rd, another 2.5 seconds further back. Sam Bird with a great battling drive, but Antunes in 5th position, driving up from a phenomenal 18th on the grid. Robert Wiggins coming up from 27th.
Even more impressive, yeah.
The Canadian driver will turn a few heads with that one.
And as we said, we've lost Piscopo from the final results, and we're not sure why yet. So
we'll have to do some. We will make some inquiries to that and be back with the podium on Motors TV in a few moments' time. Well, the sun begins to drop below the skyline at the Sakhir Circuit, Bahrain International. We've had, well, not a full complement of 25 laps of action because of a couple of incidents. 35 cars from 4 different series. The incidents started early, with Matt Lee being punted out of the action on the original run down to the first corner. The American driver, the Team Auto Technica machine. Then it was Salman Al-Khalifa's turn to get things wrong, just outbraking himself, getting picked up by Jack Goldstraw's car, which was also damaged beyond continuation. Brought out the first of 2 safety car periods. This is the green flag, and you can see the leader, Nicholas Hulkenberg, backing everything up, and carnage in the midfield with another set of problems. Stefano Coletti, one of the cars that was involved there. And, well, he was not a happy chap.
No, he was going well before that. It's a shame for him.
And now back live in Parc Fermé, just underneath the very impressive podium. The camera goes up from there. You'll be able to see the wonderful Steve Soper in the corner of the picture there to the left-hand side. Now, looking at that final result again, confirming the top 3, we'll see Hulkenberg, Holzer and Buemi on the podium. Sam Bird holding on to 4th. We should be seeing Piscopo either 4th or 5th. We think Sam got it. It was very tight on the line. They had a great battle all the way through, but it seems that he has been missed out of the results caption. Now, at the moment, we're waiting for confirmation from the race organisers as to what's happened there. But at the moment, Nathan Antunes driving up from 18th on the grid, and Robert Wickens coming from all the way down in 27th to claim the
really
remaining
impressive.
top 6 places.
Really impressive drive from Wickens. Most of that out of our shots, unfortunately, because he was so far back. But
Yeah.
he got
Well,
there
when
in
you
the end.
consider he started 27th out of 35, he was in the last half dozen rows of the grid. Now, albeit there were some incidents ahead of him, but that only took out about half a dozen cars.
Yeah.
So it's been a tremendous drive by Wickens, unfortunately unseen by us, but I'm sure that we'll be hearing some more of that young man's name as our cameraman makes an appearance. There'll be no champagne spraying, of course, because this is a dry country, so it will be, if they follow tradition, rose-scented sparkling water.
Very nice.
It smells a lot better on your overalls
Yeah.
afterwards as well. I can
Doesn't
tell
sting
you.
your eyes so much.
Yeah, not quite as much. Oh, champagne poured over you. If you've ever had that done, it is very, very uncomfortable. Twice this season I've been got by.
You should be
racing
the one
drivers.
spraying it, not receiving it.
Well, as I'm only ever talking about it, then it's highly unusual for me to be even getting a hands-on bottle. Well, there we are then, the first ever Formula BMW World Final. The concept, I think, Kelvin, has been a success. Slightly complicated in how we got to the guys in the final. We haven't seen that, of course. We only saw the highlights.
Yeah.
But some great racing, undoubtedly, through the heats and the pre-final and the final itself.
It was a great circuit for that kind of racing, and here are the winners. 4th place, Sam Bird. That's unusual. We had another surprise. Yeah.
Well,
we're confused here.
well, Sam Bird has come up onto the
Podium.
podium. Now, what position
lower,
is
show us
he
the number, show us the number.
standing on? He's on the wrong side.
Has he just been told that he should go somewhere else? Yeah, he did stand on 3 and he shouldn't have been.
That is not Sebastian Buemi. That is Sam Bird. So Sam Bird is up for 4th position.
Yeah.
Top runner from the British Series. I'm
So
sure they
that's
haven't.
Buemi then.
That is Buemi in the Red Bull overalls. 2nd place, Marco Holzer. I bet he doesn't look too happy. Well, he manages a little bit of a
Small smile.
He does look 11 though, doesn't he? Back to school on Monday for him. Last week before Christmas. And there is the man who controlled that race from the front. A tall lad,
Yeah,
Nicholas
big
Hülkenberg. The German who is... well, he was only born in 1987. I'll tell you.
88, the other 2.
Yeah, well, veterans.
Yeah.
Veterans.
No, they're younger.
Oh, sorry,
both a
yes.
year younger.
He's a veteran, sorry,
Yeah.
yes. Now there is, and that was Mario Tyson, I think it was going through the picture there. The man at the top of BMW's motorsport.
I'm curious why Sam Bird's there. Did he get fastest lap, perhaps?
Might have done Martin Whittaker, who
cash price for fastest lap.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Martin Whittaker just to the left of our shot there, formerly at the head of Ford's motorsport programme in the UK and Europe, and the national anthem for Nicholas Hülkenberg. Germany, Switzerland, Hop Swiss, 3rd place then for Sebastian Buemi, but they're all from the German Championship, and it has been Deutschland über alles this week as far as the championships are concerned. Just still slightly confused about the trophy that's going to Sam Bird, being handed over by Dr. Mario Tyson there of BMW Motorsport. We can only assume it's $2,000 as well for fastest lap. Just to their left was Martin Whittaker, the circuit director, there he is, of the Bahrain International Circuit.
He was a long time with Ford Motorsport.
Very long time,
in
yeah.
his career.
And he's going to make the presentation for third position to Sebastian Buemi, who says Spa is his favourite circuit. Straight out of karts into the Formula BMW series, his second series of it. Mario Tyson presents second place to the man who had a perfect record till the final, Marco Holzer. German from Bobingen, skiing as well. However, to the victor, the spoils, $10,000 US, and the trophy to Nicholas Hulkenberg. And very nice trophies, those Formula BMWs. Elegant. Don't nearly drop it. Now try and get that hand luggage on the way home.
Yeah. No champagne, of course, as we said already.
I thought we might have seen something fizzy and bubbly to be shaking rose water, perhaps. But Sam Bird on the left then with fastest lap, and the best of the British runners, Nathan Antunes, coming home in fifth place. Yeah, fizzy water being shaken and sprayed. And there we will break away as the sun begins to drop behind the grandstand opposite this podium. Ian Titchmarsh is the circuit commentator. Nice bit of winter sun for Ian, as the photographs will be taken, and the end of a great BMW Junior season, which has seen Nicholas Hulkenberg for Joseph Kaufmann Racing take the big prize in Bahrain, the first ever BMW World Final. And don't forget, you'll be able to see Formula BMW in the UK live as part of our BTCC package in 2006. From John Hindhaugh and Kelvin Burt, have a very great Christmas and a fantastic motorsport new year.